Good afternoon. It's Sunday, the 21st of December. I'm Erin Viner, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. The minimum wage will be raised to 5,000 shekels a month. That's the news from the cabinet, and it's being called electioneering by the opposition. In other developments, the Takuma faction of the Beit Yehudi has voted to remain with the party. Here with more is IBA's political correspondent, Ellie Wogelenter.
At the weekly cabinet meeting this morning, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he supports raising the minimum wage to 5,000 shekels a month, despite his past objections to the issue. Netanyahu said that he held a meeting with the Histadrut labor union head Avi Nissenkorn and Israel Manufacturers Association President Tzvika Oren, and told him that he had instructed the finance ministry to enable the cabinet to raise the minimum wage to 5,000 shekels. Netanyahu said this is a great news for over 700,000 workers in Israel, giving them an incentive to return to the job market. In response to the move, the head of Labor's election committee, MK Eitan Kabel, slammed the move as election economics, commenting cynically, "Good morning to the social activist Benjamin Netanyahu. What social sensitivity to the lower rungs of Israeli society and completely unconnected to the looming elections. How stupid do you think the people are?" The cabinet was also expected today to approve a 23 billion shekel budget for a multi-year plan to transfer several IDF bases in the Tel Aviv region to two sites in the Beersheba area. The relocations will be carried out between next year and 2020. In diplomatic news, Netanyahu's office released a statement today blasting Hatnuah leader Tzipi Livni after reports surfaced that she had asked U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry to delay the Palestinian UN bid for statehood, lest to strengthen Israel's right. The statement from Netanyahu's office said the true faces of Livni and Labor leader Isaac Herzog had been revealed, and that immediately after the elections they intend to retreat and allow the creation of a second Hamastan in Judea and Samaria. Livni said that she only asked Kerry to torpedo the Palestinian statehood bid, but did not ask to delay it until after the elections. Livni was also slammed by a member of her own party. MK Elazar Stern announced last night that he was resigning from Hatnuah because of the party's merger with Labor. Stern was quoted saying that Livni sold off the positions on the party list for the sake of the rotation agreement with Herzog. In other party news, Beit Yehudi leader Naftali Bennett praised the Takuma Central Committee decision overnight to stay with Beit Yehudi in a joint Knesset list. "We are greater together than apart, and we have great tasks ahead of us," said Bennett. Takuma will receive the 2nd, 9th, 14th, and 18th places on the joint list while remaining a separate party. Housing and Construction Minister Uri Ariel will have the second slot and second ministerial position. Ariel and Takuma's rabbis had considered joining former Shas leader Eli Yishai's new Ha'am Itanu party. The Takuma faction joined forces with the Beit Yehudi in advance of the 2013 elections and holds 4 of the party's 12 seats in the outgoing Knesset. Beit Yehudi will hold its primaries on January 5th. And accusations are flying between the Sephardi Haredi parties. Shas Chairman Aryeh Deri blasted Eli Yishai last night for breaking away from the party, declaring that Yishai was not following the path of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, the party's late spiritual guide. The Shas chairman added that if it was too difficult for Yishai to accept Yosef's decision to appoint Deri as chairman, thus ousting Yishai in the process, he should just go home, and he called on Yishai to go to Yosef's grave to ask for his forgiveness. Yishai now must ponder whether to seek out other partners to join with in the coming elections or to go it alone when polls are showing him barely crossing the threshold. Erin?
Thanks for that report. In other news, the Prime Minister is vowing to protect the safety of the nation and to not allow even one rocket to hit Israel without a response following the firing of a Qassam rocket into the Eshkol region on Friday and a retaliatory IDF airstrike the following day. Speaking at a Chanukah lighting ceremony at the Western Wall in Jerusalem, the Prime Minister stressed that Hamas will be held responsible for every escalation. At the same time, Palestinian reports indicate that Hamas is seeking to lower tensions. The Al-Quds Daily is reporting that Hamas officials informed Israel through an Egyptian mediator that they aren't interested in escalation and will take action to crack down on the militants behind the Friday rocket attack. Hamas official Musa Abu Marzouk reportedly said that the Islamic group is interested in upholding the understandings reached at the conclusion of last summer's 50-day conflict because there are priorities that must be kept at this point. Egypt has temporarily reopened its border crossing with Gaza for the first time in almost 2 months. The sole gateway into Gaza, not under Israel's control, will remain open today and tomorrow to accommodate thousands of Palestinians stranded on both sides of the border when Cairo closed it after Islamist terrorists in the Sinai killed 33 members of the Egyptian security forces on October 25th. Since that time, the crossing has been unsealed only on 2 other occasions. Many who pass through the crossing are Palestinian students who attend university in Egypt and elsewhere. And today, many ambulances passed into Egypt carrying those seeking medical treatment unavailable in the Hamas-controlled enclave. 4 more members of the radical Lehava organization were arrested today on suspicion of incitement to violence. The Judea and Samaria District Police took 8 activists into custody and later released 4 of them. An investigation is ongoing into activity by the group, which opposes Jewish assimilation and coexistence with Arabs. 10 other members were arrested last week, including the head of the organization, Benzi Goldstein. 3 have confessed to having torched the integrated Jewish-Arab hand-in-hand school in Jerusalem on November 29th. A gunman killed 2 on-duty New York police officers without warning in their squad car in Brooklyn before fatally shooting himself last night. The assailant has been identified as 28-year-old Ismail Abdullah Brinzi, who shot and seriously wounded his girlfriend in Maryland earlier before coming to New York. While a motive for the shooting of the officers is still being investigated, Brinzi had posted anti-police statements on social media indicating that the shootings were premeditated and may have been in revenge for the chokehold death last July by New York police of Eric Garner, who was unarmed and black. In what is believed to be Brinzi's last post on social media, he warned, "They took 1 of ours, now let's take 2 of theirs."
Although we are still learning the details, it's clear that this was an assassination. That these officers were shot execution style, particularly despicable act which goes at the very heart of our society and our democracy. When a police officer is murdered, it tears at the foundation of our society. It is an attack on all of us. It's an attack on everything we hold dear. We depend on our police to protect us against forces of criminality and evil. They are a foundation of our society, and when they are attacked, it is an attack on the very concept of decency. Therefore, every New Yorker should feel they too were attacked. Our entire city was attacked by this heinous individual.
French police shot dead a man after he stabbed 3 officers inside of a police station while shouting Allahu Akbar. The attack came less than a week after police carried out raids targeting suspected would-be jihadists who authorities believe were preparing to join Islamic State fighters in Syria. The attacker has been identified as a French national in his 20s and a native of Burundi who held a criminal record and was known for holding radical Islamist views. The counterterrorism section of the public prosecutor's office has opened a probe for attempted murder and criminal conspiracy in connection with a terrorist organization to establish whether he acted alone or on the orders of others. Harvard has reversed a ban against the SodaStream company that was imposed after BDS activists convinced campus dining halls to remove vending machines owned by the Israeli company because it is based in the West Bank. The university provost overruled the action, declaring that Harvard's procurement decision will not be dictated by individuals' views on highly contested matters of political controversy. Earlier this year, SodaStream was at the center of a pro-Palestinian boycott of Israeli products. The campaign against it continues, despite the fact that the vast majority of its employees are Palestinians and Israeli Arabs, and that the company announced plans to leave the West Bank factory in Mishur Adumim to relocate within the pre-1967 lines by the end of 2015. Attempts by BDS activists at Harvard and other universities is a clear sign of the escalating anti-Israel sentiment at faculties throughout the United States. This according to visiting U.S. professor Carrie Nelson. The former president of the Association of American Professors told Israel Television's Yaakov Achimeir that he believes that the trend poses an existential threat for Israel.
It's really growing in influence. I would say that hostility toward Israel is 10 times what it was a year ago. It has increased a great deal since the war in Gaza, and efforts are much more organized, especially on major campuses where people have the freedom to have ideas and talk. So many of us are engaged in a very serious struggle to try to defend the State of Israel and to try to get people to respond to facts rather than prejudice.
Can you assess, Professor Nelson, how many professors, or how many faculty members of American university are participating in this operation of boycott Israel?
The total number is hard to estimate, but it's certainly thousands.
Thousands?
Thousands, yes. The strength is greatest in humanities and some social science departments. In the sciences, there's very little opposition to Israel. But in English departments, history departments, foreign language departments, there's a great deal of antagonism.
Are they influential?
Well, they are influential over students, and they're influential over graduate students, and they're strongest at some of our elite universities. And that means that they're training the next generation of professionals, religious leaders, businessmen, politicians. So I don't expect them to have an influence on American policy in the near term, but I'm very worried that they can have an influence on American policy over the next generation. And we are seeing a much greater increase in hostility to Israel amongst graduate students. They're the next generation of faculty. So I'm afraid that much as I think universities are in trouble now in this regard, 5 years from now it's going to be worse. So we have a lot of work to do because America is an important Israeli ally. I hear that rumor. And,
needless to say.
And we want to preserve that position. And it's going to take a lot of very hard work, a lot of education.
Well, from what I'm hearing from you, Professor Nelson, this is a very serious problem for Israel, for the Israeli academia.
Look, I believe this is a security issue.
Security issue for Israel?
It's a security issue to have American politicians eventually lose their affection for the Jewish state. How could that not be a security issue? And the time to cut it off is now, not to let it get worse, not to let the problem become more serious, but to put the time and the energy into education to fix the problem now.
Is it possible to cut it off, as you're advising us?
Well, that's a good question, because I think the leaders of the boycott movement are hopeless. Nothing will satisfy them, and they say this in print. It's not my opinion. In print, they say the Jewish state needs to come to an end.
This is their target.
That's their public statement. It's not a matter of supposition. That's what they say.
There is no compromise.
No compromise. That's the only thing that will satisfy them.
Turning to arts and entertainment, 9 films have been approved to advance to the next round of voting for the Best Foreign Language Film at the 87th Academy Awards, although unfortunately the Israeli entry was among 74 others that didn't make the cut. Get, the trial of Vivian Amsalem, is still in the running for a prestigious Golden Globe, though. The film is directed by Shlomi Elkabetz and his sister Ronit, who also plays the title role. The story portrays the 5-year struggle of an Israeli woman to obtain a divorce from her husband and is filmed entirely in a courtroom. This is the final in a trilogy of films following To Take a Wife and The 7 Days. Meanwhile, a joint enterprise from Poland and Denmark called IDA made both the Golden Globes and the Oscar shortlists. The film follows the story of a young orphaned woman named Anna, who is about to take vows as a nun in 1962 when she suddenly finds out that she's Jewish, and sets off on a journey of self-discovery about her family's past during the Holocaust and her own religious beliefs. The 72nd Golden Globe Award ceremony will be held on January 11th and the Academy Awards on February 22nd. Mandy Rice Davies passed away this weekend at the age of 70. The one-time British glamour girl made Aliyah in the 60s and came to be known as the queen of Tel Aviv nightlife. Rice Davies first came to the world's attention in 1963 at the age of 18 when she was a nightclub dancer and close friend of the mistress of British War Secretary John Profumo in a widely publicized affair that disgraced the government of British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan, who resigned soon thereafter. Later, during a London trial, Rice Davies made a comment that entered the popular lexicon, replying to the denial from an aristocratic politician, Lord Astor, to having had an affair with her. He would, wouldn't he? Rice Davies moved to Israel in 1966, married Israeli businessman Rafi Shauli, and converted to Judaism. She became well known in the Israeli entertainment scene by opening restaurants and clubs, including Mandy's Candies and Mandy's Discotheque, at the center of Tel Aviv nightlife for many years. In sports news, Israeli basketball player Gal Mekel has been released by another NBA club. Just 2 weeks after joining the New Orleans Pelicans, Mekel is once again on the waiver wire. The 26-year-old guard played just 4 games for New Orleans, averaging 1.5 points and 3.3 assists in just under 11 minutes per contest. Mekel spent over a month as a free agent following his release by the Dallas Mavericks at the start of the season, eventually signing a 2-year non-guaranteed contract with the Pelicans that included a clause allowing management to let him go without compensation before January 10th for any reason.
Very serviceable guy for the last couple of years in Minnesota.
One of the striking experiences for immigrants is how different the holiday season is here in Israel than in their native countries, as we hear from Yesh Atid member of Knesset, Rabbi Dov Lipman.
For all of us who moved to Israel from outside of Israel, this time of the year wasn't the Hanukkah season. It was the Christmas season. For me, the greatest miracle is that we're here in a Jewish country where Hanukkah is everywhere around us, and the symbol of the menorah, which shows the rededication of the Jewish people. The Greeks destroyed the temple. They weren't able to light the menorah. We persevered, we won, and we relit that menorah. The fact that we're doing that today here in the Jewish state, where we say in the Al Hanisim, Bayamim Haim Bazman Hazeh, in these days and those times, we're experiencing that now. We are experiencing the miracle of Hanukkah with the rededication and the rejuvenation of the Jewish people in Israel. So to stand outside my place of work, the Knesset, in front of this menorah on Hanukkah has particular meaning.
The Hanukkah holiday has been taking place during the commemoration of the 30-day Shloshim mourning period for those killed in the Jerusalem Har Nov synagogue massacre. 2,000 women gathered at the city's Great Synagogue to attend a service organized by the Orthodox Union Israel Center in commemoration of the victims.
It's just a month after the tragedy, the terror attack in Har Nov. We lost 4 tzaddikim, and we all feel a tremendous loss and pain. Today, we are here to respond to the tragedy. This is our response. Mizmor Shir Chanukas Habayis, we just sang it this morning, we sang it last night. It is Hanukkah, and we're all here to celebrate our Hanukkah, our personal rededication to Torah and mitzvos, to Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. Today, like in the past, we hope our commitment to the rededication will bring great nisim, Bizman Hazeh.
Megillat Ta'anit states Hanukkah is a day you're not allowed to eulogize in. In fact, Megillat Ta'anit, that is probably the oldest written part of Torah Sheba'al Peh, is a list of days that you're not allowed to fast and you're not allowed to eulogize in. And all of Megillat Ta'anit, with the exception of Hanukkah and Purim, was cancelled. And Chachamim ask, so why wasn't Hanukkah cancelled? And they answer, because Hanukkah has a mitzvah, lighting candles. So cancel the Chag and cancel the mitzvah. You say, no, this has a special quality of Pirsum Hanes, spreading the light of the miracle. And you can't cancel it. So we can't eulogize today. But we can learn Torah, and we can celebrate the life of Avodat Hashem, of the 4 Kedoshim that were murdered. Because a day that has a mitzvah in them can't be cancelled. Mitzvah in it can't be cancelled. And a life full of Torah and mitzvah and Avodat Hashem lives on forever.
It's now Hanukkah candle lighting time, and we turn to our studio in Tel Aviv, to the son and the grandson of IBA editor Steve Leibowitz, Yonatan and Eviatar Ger, who are also joined by Eviatar's classmate Ethan at the Kehilat Democratic School in Jaffa. Happy Hanukkah, gentlemen.
Happy Hanukkah, Erin.
Can you lead the boys in the blessings, Yonatan?
We are. Is everyone ready?
Yes.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav וציוונו להדליק נר של חנוכה. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשה ניסים לאבותינו ולאמותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. Amen. We go to a democratic school, and we were thinking this year not only about what miracles happen to us, but what miracles we would like to have happen for other people, what we wish to other people. Ethan, would you like to go first?
I wish for world peace.
And Evita, what do you wish to everyone?
I wish for everyone in the world to have a lot of sufganiyot.
A lot of sufganiyot. Happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now taking a look at local finance, and with no currency trading on Sundays, the shekel remains the same, while share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange started off the trading week up across the board. Here's a look at the mid-afternoon numbers. Turning to the weather, and be sure to bundle up because it's going to be unseasonably chilly over the next 2 days. Don't forget your umbrellas either, because we can expect occasional rain showers in the north and center of the country tomorrow, spreading down to the Negev throughout the day. Here's the forecast at home and abroad over the next 24 hours. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. I'll be back at this desk tomorrow to bring you the latest news from Israel. I'm Erin Viner, wishing you a great evening, happy Hanukkah, and shalom from Jerusalem.